President Moon Jae-in begins his day in Tokyo. He'll be attending the South Korea-Japan-China summit, as well as a few other sideline summits as well. Our chief Blue House correspondent Moon Kon-young joins us live on the phone. So, Kon-young, what can you tell us?
Well, Mark, South Korean President Moon Jae-in landed in Tokyo a few minutes past 9 early this Wednesday morning, and is now joining Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe and Chinese Premier Li Keqiang to kick off the 7th South Korea-Japan-China trilateral summit in Tokyo this year. Of course, among other things, taking center stage will be North Korea, no doubt, but they will expose differences, and the three leaders will be seeking a lowest common denominator agreement in the wake of a historic summit late last month between President Moon and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. Japan, which has by far the most hardline position of the North's neighbors, has been left watching from the sidelines, uneasy at the pace of events, and what it sees as an unwarranted softening towards Pyongyang. In announcing the three-way summit, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said he hopes to thoroughly discuss how we can have North Korea walk on the right path, resolve the abduction, missile and nuclear issues, and create a bright future. So Abe is likely to push for continued pressure on Pyongyang, including for complete, verifiable, and irreversible denuclearization. Now, South Korea's Blue House has said Seoul wanted the three countries to simply endorse the Panmunjom Declaration signed by Moon and Kim last month in the demilitarized zone that separates the two Koreas without the CVID clause. So the three leaders will hold a joint news conference following the trilateral summit, so we'll find out soon enough, Mark.
And Kon-young, following news of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and Chinese President Xi Jinping's surprise meeting, their second, this time in Dalian earlier this week, will there be discussions on that as well?
Well, Mark, we would assume so, as reports were flowing out of China that Kim Jong-un and Xi Jinping were meeting in China's northeastern city of Dalian. South Korea's President Blue House sent out a late-night text message to the press corps saying the Chinese government had informed Seoul of the North Korean leader's two-day, one-night Dalian trip prior to the visit itself. Now, when I asked whether there had been any contact from North Korea at all, none of the senior Blue House officials I spoke to had any answers for me. But one of the officials did say that the Blue House did have information on what was discussed between the leaders of Pyongyang and Beijing, and that was from their counterparts from Beijing. But with rapidly changing dynamics here in Northeast Asia region, especially with the latest development that the U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo has arrived in North Korea to fine-tune the details of the upcoming Kim-Trump summit and possibly the release of the three Americans detained in North Korea, I'm sure everything from the Inter-Korean summit to what was discussed between Kim Jong-un and Xi Jinping, as well as the upcoming North Korea-U.S. summit, will be discussed when President Moon and Chinese Premier Li Keqiang sit down for their separate one-on-one later this afternoon. Mark?